So I've been making a lot of progress recently with my new split, and I'm just gonna get into what it is. On the first day, I train hamstrings. So I view hamstring training as needing set exercises. There's exercises you have to do. There's some exercises you can substitute, but there's some exercises that are staples, right? And I have this for my hamstrings, for my quads, for my calves, chest, etc. Each muscle group has its staple exercises. So the way I decided to set up my leg training would be to split it across 3 days across hamstrings, quads, and abductors and adductors, which is the lightest day. Quads being like the heaviest or second heaviest, and hamstrings again they compete for a spot in terms of how intense the day was. But this week I started with hamstrings, and I did seated hamstring curls, and I did just regular RDLs, barbell RDLs, and those completely destroyed my hamstrings. And in getting the stretch motion and the hinge movement of a RDL, and then getting the like hamstring curl movement, whether it be from seated or laying, those are really the only staple exercises that you need to grow your hamstrings. You only need two exercises. Again, RDLs can be dumbbell, it can be like stiff leg deadlifts or whatever like hinge movement that you do, as long as you're getting that like stretch in your hamstrings, which is why I say it's not really about the exercise, it's more about the actual movement, because certain movements are needed to hit a muscle in a specific way. So as long as you have that hinge movement with like the RDLs, and you have a curl movement, whether it be from seated or laying, hamstring curls, you're good on that. And then for calves, very simple. We have a calf machine at my gym, and then we have a standing calf raise, and I just do both of those. I'll do 3 sets on the standing one day, then I'll do 3 sets on the seated the other day. My calves, I train every other day on my leg days. So I did one on my hamstring day. I didn't do one on my hip and abductor day. I did one on my quad day. And then the next day I won't, and then the next day I will, and so forth. But calf, that's all I do is the standing and the seated, because there's not many other calf raise variations that will actually hit the calves in a different way than those two movements. But I do think the seated one is nice, and I actually feel it more in my calves. The standing one feels more like a compound calf movement, if you want to put it that way. But that is what I do for my calves. And then on that'll be day one. It'll be those two exercises, the two hamstring exercises, two calf exercises, and that's it. On my next day, which is abductors and adductors, that's where I did those two machines, the one that you close your legs and the one that you open your legs. And that one, I have it be purposefully lighter on my legs, because typically my hamstrings do take a lot longer to recover. And of course, being in a bulk now, I'm trying to get as much growth out of them as possible. So they're still sore, and I trained them 4 days ago or 3 days ago, full days. And it's one of those things where, again, it kind of impacted the rest of my leg days that week. And maybe like the next time I take a rest day, I can switch up the cycle and start with quads first, then adductors and abductors, and then hamstrings, because my hamstrings, again, they take super long to recover, and I think it's just because they're still slightly underdeveloped. So it's still a lot of new stimulus that I'm receiving to the muscle. But the point being is, I had my light abductor day, and then I just take that day to kind of hit upper body, because the thing is, I've been training my upper body less since I've been giving more time and more of my workout towards hitting legs. So most days I'll only do like a bicep curl, or like I'll do some pull-ups or some rear delt flies, but that's it. I'm not really having full upper body days anymore. I'm having less upper body days now. But on that day, I think I did a full chest day, and I'm trying to stick to more compound movements. That's the second thing I've been doing in my new split, is just trying to do more compound movements while I'm on a bulk, just because I want to focus on getting stronger right now. I'm pretty satisfied with where my proportions are, so I really want to focus on strength because I know size would come with that. But then the day after that was my quad day, and that's very simple. I think, again, all you need is two movements, a pressing movement and an extension movement. So pressing movement can be barbell squat, it can be hack squat, it can be leg press, it can be anything. As long as you're getting that pressing movement in your quads and you're able to progressive overload and go safely to failure, that's the best way to grow your quads possible. And of course, leg extensions are just a staple. You need to have them. Whether you're doing it single leg or both legs at the same time, doesn't really matter. As long as you go heavy on that too. And on my quad days, I like to do more volume because I'm only doing those two exercises. So like for the leg extensions, typically I'll do 2 sets to failure. So 3 sets total, the first being a warm up, and then 2 actual sets to failure. But yesterday I did 1 warm up and 3 actual sets to failure because the only time I'm going to be hitting quads again is going to be 2 to 3 days from now, because of how I train legs like each day, but just different parts of it. I feel like in terms of my recovery, it really hasn't been impacting it that much. I feel like my leg does feel sore like day round, but it doesn't really impact it in the actual moment of exercising. All my muscle groups feel fine and stuff like that. So I've been, of course, foam rolling a lot, stretching a lot. That's super important to prevent injury and also just to help the muscle grow more, because your muscles definitely do get super tight, especially when you're doing something like a leg training like this where it's like back-to-back leg days. It's important to always stay stretching, hydrated, etc., and stuff like that. But that is basically what I'm doing regarding my leg training during this new split. It's to focus on building it up all around with more emphasis on my quads, hamstrings, and calves specifically, because calves I'm doing every other day. But of course, this is only the first week into my bulk, and today is only the 4th day into my actual like new training split. So I'm excited to see the progress I can make on it. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know, comment down below. I'll see you later.